Welcome back to the deep dive.
Hmm.
This is where we take, a huge pile of sources, all the research, the biographies, and we just distill it all down for you.
All the essentials.
All the essentials, the surprising facts, the philosophy behind it. And today, we're not just diving into basketball history. We are uh, plunging into a whole cultural phenomenon, a
Yeah.
20-year career that really just transcended sport. It's defined by 5 championships, this relentless drive, and one single, unforgettable name, Kobe.
It's a huge topic. We have amassed, just extensive material detailing the comprehensive, often controversial, and ultimately, unparalleled career
Yeah.
of Kobe Bean Bryant,
And his entire run, 20 seasons, all with one team.
all in the purple and gold of the Los Angeles Lakers. So our mission today is, well, it's pretty complex. We have to extract the crucial insights, the turning points, and really get to the true meaning behind the legend of the Black Mamba.
And that key ethos, the Mamba mentality.
Exactly, the Mamba mentality.
Yeah. That mentality is really the guiding star for this whole deep dive. So, okay, let's lay out the roadmap for everyone.
Let's do it.
We're starting far from the NBA hardwood. We're going to look at his unique global roots that really shaped his game, and then the sheer audacity of that prep-to-pro leap.
Which was so rare at the time.
So rare. Then we'll get into the dynamic, high-tension championship years with Shaq, the scoring explosion that followed, and then the demanding late-career injuries.
And you can't forget what came after. His incredible renaissance off the court, capped by, of all things, an Academy Award.
Right. It just proved that the Mamba mentality was, it was entirely transferable.
It's a roadmap of just relentless, singular ambition. And we're going to make sure you walk away understanding not just what he did, but how he did it and why that drive became such an archetype.
Okay, so to really unpack the foundation of Kobe Bryant's, let's call it hyper-focused competitive nature, we actually have to look across the Atlantic.
Right. It doesn't start in Philly. Not really.
Well, he was born there, Philadelphia, in 1978. And, his connection to the game was immediate. His dad, Joe Jelly Bean Bryant, played 8 seasons in the NBA.
So it's in his blood.
It's in his blood, but the thing that makes him different, that differentiating factor, it happened really early on.
Absolutely. The pivotal chapter begins when Kobe was just 6 years old. When his father's NBA career ended, he took his family and his career overseas to Italy.
And they were there for a long time.
7 years. And this wasn't a static experience either. They moved several times, lived in towns like Rieti, Reggio Calabria, Pistoia, and then settled for a good while in Reggio Emilia.
And he always spoke about that place with so much love.
He did. He later described it as a defining place, a place where he formed some of his best childhood memories. It was home.
That is just a profound cultural immersion at an incredibly formative age. And you see in the source material how it fundamentally shaped his worldview, not just as a person, but as an athlete.
Precisely. He became completely fluent in Italian, which is amazing in itself. But more than that, he just absorbed European culture. And his first athletic love, this is the key, it wasn't basketball.
It was soccer.
It was soccer. He was a diehard fan of the Italian powerhouse AC Milan. And that global perspective meant that when he finally came back to the U.S., he had a different approach to the game, different training habits, and a level of seriousness that just set him apart from his peers.
And there's this one fascinating detail in the sources about how he actually kept up with American basketball while he was over there.
Oh, this is a great story. It speaks volumes about his early dedication.
It really does.
Yeah, so in Italy, back then, getting live NBA games was almost impossible.
Yeah.
So his grandfather played this massive role. He would religiously mail him VHS tapes of NBA games.
Just sending tapes across the ocean.
Exactly. And Kobe would he'd meticulously study these grainy videos. He'd dissect the moves of players like Jordan, Magic, Larry Bird. It was this uniquely global, but also paradoxically isolated, self-taught athletic education.
Right. No American AAU circuit for him.
None of that. Just intense film study.
So when he finally returns to Philadelphia at age 13, he enrolls at Lower Merion High School in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And the impact of those years of isolated study was, well, it was immediate and spectacular.
The transformation was incredible. Look, when Kobe was a freshman, the Lower Merion Aces, their team, they finished with a dismal 420 record.
Awful.
Awful. Over the next 3 years, with him leading the charge, the team put together a stunning 77-13 record. By his senior year, he had essentially dragged that team to a state championship.
And the individual awards just pile up instantly. In '96, he was a statistical monster. He wins both the Naismith Prep Player of the Year and the Gatorade National Player of the Year.
But the truly astounding stat, the one that cements his local dominance,
Yeah.
is his career scoring record for southeastern Pennsylvania, 2,883 points.
And who did he pass?
He surpassed records held by absolute Philadelphia legends, including Wilt Chamberlain and Lionel Simmons. That just showed he was playing at a professional level. Even when he was in high school, he'd often fill all 5 positions on the court for the Aces.
That level of high school immortality, topping Wilt in the Philly area, that should have led straight to college, right? I mean, the sources say Duke, Michigan, UNC, Villanova, they were all in on him.
Deeply interested.
Yeah.
And he had a 1080 SAT score, so he was guaranteed admission anywhere he wanted to go.
But he chose a path that, at that time, was incredibly rare and, highly scrutinized. The prep to pro jump, a decision only Kevin Garnett had recently validated.
It was a massive risk. High risk, high reward. The NBA just hadn't seen many high school players transition directly, and there were huge questions about his maturity, his readiness for the physical grind.
But the pros saw something different.
Well, the pros knew. The talent assessment was definitive. Before the '96 draft, Jerry West, the Lakers GM, he set up this specific workout where Bryant competed against former Lakers players.
And the verdict?
West's quote was that Kobe marched over these people. It was instant validation. He was ready.
And what came next was one of the most calculated and pivotal draft day maneuvers in, really, all of league history. He's selected 13th overall by the Charlotte Hornets, but that was basically just a formality.
It was pure cap space choreography. The Lakers had already worked out a deal with the Hornets a day before the draft even happened.
So what was the trade?
The trade itself involved sending their starting center, Vlade Divac, to Charlotte. Now, this wasn't just a simple player swap. Divac was a critical piece of the Lakers team at the time.
So why trade him?
They traded him purely to clear salary cap space. About $3 million, which was absolutely essential to sign the massive free agent that Jerry West was targeting, Shaquille O'Neal.
So if you trace the sequence, Kobe wasn't just added to what became a dynasty. His selection and that trade, they were the necessary preconditions that let the Lakers even get O'Neal.
He was the trigger. Even as a 17-year-old rookie, he was the first domino to fall.
Just a stroke of strategic genius by West.
It was. He knew he needed Kobe to free up the money for Shaq. And here's that great piece of trivia you mentioned before. Because he was only 17 when he was drafted, he wouldn't turn 18 until August. His parents had to co-sign his first contract.
Wow. A 3-year, $3.5 million deal?
Co-signed by mom and dad.
Yeah.
So his entry into the league is just marked by all these unconventional things, phenomenal high school performance, a unique European grounding, and this complex draft day maneuver designed to lay the foundation for an era of dominance. What a start. So Kobe debuts in the NBA at 18 years, 72 days old. He was the second youngest player ever to play in a game at that time.
And then he becomes the youngest starter a few months later, but he wasn't, the star right out of the gate.
No, his role was initially limited. He was coming off the bench behind established veterans like Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel. He definitely had to earn his minutes.
But he transitioned pretty quickly from being a reserve to being a spectacle, using that athleticism to really establish his brand.
Absolutely. In his rookie year, he wins the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest. He's the youngest champion ever at 18.
And that just instantly projects him onto the national stage.
Right. He's a high flyer, an entertainer. It gave him recognition even while his overall game, and especially his shot selection, was still seen as pretty raw.
But the defining moment of his rookie year, it wasn't a dunk, it wasn't a win, it was a devastating loss, and a series of really dramatic misses. The infamous airball game.
This is critical. If you want to understand the genesis of the Mamba mentality, you have to look here.
So break it down for us.
It's Game 5 of the '97 Western Conference semifinals against the Utah Jazz. The Lakers are down in the series. They're shorthanded due to injuries and ejections. And Kobe, who's only 18, is thrust into the lead role in crunch time.
So the ball is in his hands.
It is. In the final minutes of the fourth quarter, and then in overtime, he shoots 4 air balls. Shots that miss the rim entirely.
4 of them.
4. Including a potential game winner in the fourth and 3 tying attempts in overtime. The Lakers are eliminated.
That is just crushing for any player, let alone a teenager, on the biggest stage. I mean, many rookies would be mentally scarred by that kind of failure.
They would. But what's so fascinating here is the immediate, almost protective perspective. from his veteran teammates and coaches.
Right, and the sources really highlight O'Neal's quote.
It's the definitive quote. He famously commented that Kobe was the only guy who had the guts at the time to take shots like that. He saw it not as recklessness, but as supreme confidence, a willingness to accept responsibility.
So that willingness to immediately bounce back from that kind of failure, to step up again the next night, that's it. That's the seed.
That's the kernel of the Mamba mentality, years before the nickname even existed. And the bounce back was swift. By his second season, the NBA had seen enough. He became an all-star starter.
The youngest starter in history to do so.
His ascent was just relentless. But the major turning point, the start of the dynasty, really came with the arrival of Coach Phil Jackson in 1999.
And the triangle offense.
And the very demanding, very specific structure of the triangle offense.
Let's focus on that dynamic because the sources suggest the relationship between Jackson, Kobe, and Shaq was defined by tension from day one. But they won 3 straight titles together. How did this highly individualistic Kobe survive and even thrive in Jackson's team-first system?
Well, it was a continuous battle of wills. The triangle offense requires constant movement, ball sharing, and often, delaying your own individual desire for a shot until the system creates a better one.
And Kobe was not about delaying his shot.
Not at all. He was naturally aggressive. He often chafed against that structure. But the system also provided clear roles. Shaq was the dominant anchor in the post, forcing double teams. And Kobe was the principal beneficiary. He used the space created for his isolation scoring when the clock wound down.
So their success, those 3 consecutive championships from 2000 to 2002, it wasn't because of perfect harmony.
Not even close. It was because Jackson managed to channel their disparate clashing brilliance.
Let's talk specifics from those championship runs. The 1999-2000 season, in particular, was stacked with drama and really defined by Kobe's clutch moments, even as the second star.
Absolutely. Even though O'Neal won MVP that year, Kobe provided the crucial closing performances. Think about Game 7 of the 2000 Western Conference Finals against Portland.
The big comeback.
Huge comeback. The Lakers are down 15 points in the fourth quarter. Kobe steps up, scores 8 points, grabs 4 rebounds, and then delivers that iconic series-clinching alley-oop pass to O'Neal with less than a minute left.
That showed his evolution, right? From just a pure scorer to a true playmaker when the pressure was at its absolute highest.
And the sources detail even more drama in the 2000 finals against the Pacers, which cemented his willingness to play through extreme pain.
The ankle injury.
Yes. In Game 2, Kobe injures his ankle after landing on Jalen Rose's foot, which Rose later admitted he placed there intentionally. Kobe misses Game 3. But he returns for Game 4, and that's the moment that just elevates his reputation. O'Neal fouls out in overtime, and Kobe completely takes over. Scores 22 points in the second half in overtime, including the winning jumper. He was hobbling, but he refused to yield the moment.
So by 2002, he's clearly operating at an elite individual level, kind of independent of O'Neal's shadow.
The stats back that up. In 2002, he's averaging over 25 points a game. He gets his first All-NBA first-team selection, and his profile is so high that he hosts his first All-Star game in his hometown of Philadelphia.
And this is where the villainy comes in.
It does. He was booed loudly by the Philly fans the entire game.
Because of some trash talk from the year before.
From the previous year's finals, yeah. He got to do it with a 76ers heckler, and he just embraced the antagonism immediately. He won the All-Star MVP that night, taking home the trophy in a hostile environment he personally created.
Then the 2002 finals, a sweep of the New Jersey Nets, that solidifies the dynasty.
And that victory made Kobe the youngest player, at age 23, to win 3 championships. His clutch shot-making in the fourth quarters during those playoffs, it firmly cemented his reputation as a definitive, high-stakes, clutch player.
But the sources are clear on this. Even at the absolute peak of their success, the internal tension between Bryant and O'Neal was already becoming unsustainable.
The dynasty was built on shared brilliance, but also on simmering internal warfare.
Okay, so the next phase of Kobe's career is marked by him shedding that role of secondary star and really transitioning into the league's most dominant individual scoring force.
An unprecedented focus on volume and efficiency.
Yeah.
And it started well before O'Neal's ultimate departure.
Right. The preparation for this really came in the 2002-03 season. He averaged 30 points per game. He's reaching career highs in rebounds, assists, steals. He's broadening his game, but his scoring was just breaking barriers.
And he had 2 just mind-boggling scoring bursts that season that really previewed what was coming.
The three-point record.
First, in January 2003, he sets an NBA record by making 12 three-pointers in a single game. Then a month later, He goes on this incredible run. He posts 40 or more points in 9 consecutive games, averaging 40.6 points for the entire month of February.
That is just sustained, relentless offensive output that only guys like Jordan and Wilt had ever touched.
Exactly.
The following season, 2003-04, was just chaotic. The Lakers tried to create a super team by acquiring Karl Malone and Gary Payton.
But the season was fraught with immense external distraction, particularly his off-court legal difficulties.
The sources confirm that the 2003-04 season was maybe the most turbulent of his career.
For sure. The sexual assault case required numerous court appearances in Colorado, which often forced him to miss games or fly cross-country on game days, playing completely exhausted.
But despite all that turbulence, the team drama, the travel Kobe still provided the classic theatrics at the end of the regular season.
Oh yeah. The Lakers were playing Portland in the final game, needing a win to secure the Pacific Division title. Down late, Kobe hits 2 massive bugger-beating three-pointers.
One to force overtime, and then one to win it.
Another in double overtime to snatch the victory, 105-104. Just pure, unadulterated, high-stakes Kobe theatrics, no matter the chaos around him.
But that super team ultimately failed. They lost in that stunning upset to the Pistons in the 2004 finals, which just triggered the collapse of the whole thing.
That loss was the end of an era. O'Neal was traded to Miami. Phil Jackson's contract wasn't renewed, especially after he called Kobe uncoachable in his book.
Right, the last season.
And amidst all that wreckage, Kobe chose his legacy. He turned down a huge contract from the rival Clippers to re-sign with the Lakers. A 7-year, $136.4 million deal, officially becoming the undisputed sole cornerstone of the franchise.
And before we get into the records he broke next, we have to address the immense impact of that controversy during this era. The sources note the severe damage to his reputation.
It was a brutal period. The criminal charges stemmed from that 2003 incident in Colorado. Bryant admitted to an adulterous sexual encounter but maintained it was consensual.
And the criminal charges were dropped.
They were dropped in 2004 after the accuser refused to testify. Importantly, Bryant issued a public apology, recognizing that while he believed the encounter was consensual, he understood she did not share that view. That led to the private civil settlement.
But the public fallout was huge.
Immediate. He lost major endorsements like McDonald's and Nutella, and public sentiment was profoundly negative.
The next season, 2004-05, was a low point on the court as well. The Lakers missed the playoffs entirely.
They did. But then Phil Jackson returned in 2005, and the scoring volume Kobe unleashed was unlike anything we had seen in decades. This is the era of true scoring insanity.
He just decided to overwhelm opponents single-handedly.
It was a conscious decision. Let's look at December 20, 2005 against the Dallas Mavericks. Kobe scores 62 points in just 3 quarters, but here's the unique part.
He outscored their entire team.
He had personally outscored the entire Dallas Mavericks team through 3 quarters, 62-61. He sat out the entire 4th quarter. That feat had only been achieved by one player since the shot clock was introduced. He individually vanquished the opponent.
And then came the 81-point game, January 22, 2006, against the Toronto Raptors. This performance is the statistical centerpiece of his individual career.
It's a monumental achievement, second highest scoring total in NBA history, only behind Wilt's mythical 100-point game. But the context is critical.
Right, Wilt's game was a different era, a different style.
Completely different, high-paced blowout, way more possessions, lots of inside shots fed by teammates. Kobe's 81 came in a game where the Lakers were trailing by 14 at halftime. He had to generate his own shots, mostly from the perimeter, often double and triple teamed.
And he accounted for, what, 2/3 of his team's points?
An astonishing 66% of his team's total points in a tight, competitive game. An individual effort of unparalleled volume combined with extraordinary self-created difficulty.
And that scoring dominance translated into hardware. He wins the scoring title in 2006, averaging a stunning 35.4 points per game.
And then he won it again in 2007. During that 2006-07 season, he was just in a league of his own, scored 50-plus points 10 times. He also became the second player, again only behind Wilt, to string together 4 consecutive 50-point games.
This period wasn't just about scoring, it was about the symbolism of separation from that earlier part of his career.
Which leads us to the jersey change, from 8 to 24.
It sounds minor, but it felt monumental at the time.
It was a conscious rebranding. He wore 24 in high school. The switch for the 2006-07 season was symbolic of a fresh start, moving past the Shaq era, leaving the early controversies behind, embracing a new phase of leadership.
And he later explained it represented the 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, that relentless commitment required for the Mamba Mentality. It was a visual declaration that the young, volatile star was gone, replaced by the matured franchise leader. So this next era represents his transformation from an individual scoring force into the undisputed leader of a championship-caliber team.
But first, the team had to survive a massive internal crisis driven entirely by Bryant.
Right, the trade drama.
I remember this in 2007. It really felt like he genuinely wanted out of Los Angeles, which would have just shattered the franchise.
He did. He publicly requested a trade, expressing intense frustration over an alleged Lakers insider who claimed he was responsible for Shaq's departure. He felt the organization hadn't backed him up.
And then there was that infamous amateur video.
But that just reignited everything. He's venting about keeping Andrew Bynum over trading for Jason Kidd, saying they needed to move the young center for a veteran star.
But the front office held firm. They refused to trade him. And while the team was volatile, Kobe's personal commitment never wavered, which led to an incredible physical sacrifice.
And that sacrifice is a cornerstone of the Mamba mentality. In the 2007-08 season, he played all 82 games despite a complete tear of the ligament in his pinky finger.
On his shooting hand.
On his shooting hand. For a shooter, a complete tear is devastating. He delayed surgery until after the season and after the 2008 Beijing Olympics. That decision speaks volumes. Team commitment over personal health.
And the crucial piece of the puzzle, the move that finally enabled the team's resurgence, was the acquisition of Pau Gasol.
Gasol's arrival in February 2008 was the definitive turning point. He was the ideal, skilled, high-post complement to Kobe's perimeter attack. The perfect 1-2 punch for Jackson's triangle.
And with Gasol, he finally wins his MVP.
He leads Lakers to the West's best record and wins the 2008 NBA MVP award. It was the culmination of his transformation into a leader.
That MVP carried extra weight, given everything he'd navigated to get there.
It did, and his dedication carried over to the national stage. The 2008 Beijing Olympics, his first summer games, leading the Redeem team.
They were desperate to restore U.S. dominance.
And in the final game against a very strong Spanish team, featuring his teammate Gasol, Kobe scored 20 points, including 13 crucial points in the fourth quarter to clinch the gold.
He delivered in the highest-stakes international moment.
He did. Back in the NBA, they returned to the finals in 2008, but lost to the rival Boston Celtics. So the goal immediately shifted to getting that fifth ring.
And the 2008-09 season was just focused aggression.
Right. They started 17-2, finished 65-17. Kobe set a Madison Square Garden scoring record with 61 points. He finished runner-up in MVP voting, but led the Lakers past the Orlando Magic in the 2009 finals.
Winning his fourth championship and, critically, his first NBA Finals MVP trophy.
That was monumentally important. It was irrefutable proof he could be the primary engine of a championship team without Shaquille O'Neal.
And that finals performance was statistically dominant.
He was the first player since Jerry West in '69 to average at least 32 points and 7 assists in a finals series, and the first since Jordan to average 35-5 for a title-winning team in the finals.
Then the 2009-10 season was marked by another injury he refused to acknowledge and a streak of just legendary clutch shots.
Yeah, he suffered an avulsion fracture in his right index finger, which significantly impacted his shooting, yet he continued to delay surgery, played through the pain, and accumulated 6 game-winning shots that season.
Including that iconic one-legged buzzer beater over Dwyane Wade in Miami.
Right. A classic. During this season, he also surpassed Jerry West to become the Lakers' all-time leading scorer.
And the culmination of this second championship era was the highly anticipated 7-game rematch against the Boston Celtics in the 2010 finals.
This was the ultimate grudge match. And Kobe played poorly by his standards in Game 7, shooting 6 for 24. But here's the complexity. He refused to stop attacking.
He found other ways to win.
He led the team's comeback from a 13-point deficit by driving relentlessly, drawing fouls, hitting free throws, and grabbing 15 rebounds. He scored 10 points in the fourth quarter to carry the team to victory,
earning his 5th title and 2nd consecutive Finals MVP.
And he famously said that because of the rivalry and the Game 7 intensity, this was his most satisfying championship. So with 5 rings secured, the narrative shifted immediately. The only remaining goal was matching Jordan's 6 championships.
And he kept stacking up milestones, youngest to 26,000 and 27,000 points. He tied the record for most All-Star MVP awards with 4.
He did. However, the early part of this period also saw a regrettable off-court moment that became a public flashpoint.
The incident with the referee.
In 2011, Kobe was fined $100,000 by the NBA for directing a gay slur at a referee in frustration. The league acted swiftly.
And he responded quickly.
He offered a prompt public apology, acknowledged how serious it was, and appeared in a Lakers PSA denouncing hate speech. It really showed the scrutiny that followed every single action.
His final deep playoff run ended in 2012, eliminated by OKC, and the 2012-13 season started with huge, arguably unrealistic expectations after they acquired Dwight Howard and Steve Nash.
Right. And that season, Kobe reached another massive milestone. He became the youngest player in league history to score 30,000 career points. But the team struggled.
And in a move of sheer desperation to make the playoffs, Kobe started pushing himself to unbelievable physical limits.
This is where we hit the painful reality of time and extreme minutes, the Mamba mentality overriding physical limitation.
He was playing almost 48 minutes a night.
The Lakers were fighting for the final playoff spot. And the sources highlight that he had played 7 consecutive quarters leading up to the end of the season. The GM had reportedly talked to him about his minutes, but Kobe insisted on carrying the team.
And then came the moment the entire league held its breath, April 12, 2013. The Achilles tear against the Warriors.
The injury itself perfectly encapsulates his refusal to quit. It was a clear, immediate injury, but he refused to go to the bench until he had hobbled back onto the court and sunk 2 clutch free throws to tie the game.
Only then did he walk off.
The New York Times called that final effort, leading the team into contention, perhaps some of the finest work of his career. The sheer will was just undeniable.
And that sacrifice was recognized immediately. Despite the injury, the Lakers showed immense faith.
Yes. In November 2013, still recovering, he signed a 2-year, $48.5 million extension. He remained the league's highest-paid player, cementing the trust the Lakers had in him.
But unfortunately, that Achilles injury was the gateway to a catastrophic injury cascade. He never really regained his peak form after that.
No. Just 6 games into his return, he suffers a fracture in his left knee, sidelined for the rest of the season. Then, the following year, a rotator cuff tear in his shooting shoulder. Season-ending surgery again.
The body was finally failing the Mamba mentality's demands.
It was a clear, painful signal.
His final chapter, the 2015-16 season, became this league-wide farewell tour. His 20th season with the Lakers, a league record for one franchise.
He officially announced his retirement on November 29, 2015 through that poem, Dear Basketball. Acknowledging his body knew it's time to say goodbye.
And what's so poignant is the immediate dramatic shift in public perception during that final tour.
He went from the fierce villain who loved being booed to receiving genuine, warm ovations across the league, even in hostile arenas like Boston and Salt Lake City.
He was astonished by it himself.
He admitted he was. It was this massive, spontaneous wave of universal respect for his career. And the culmination of this tour was his final game on April 13, 2016.
That final performance, it needs a reflective pause because it was pure, unadulterated Hollywood Mamba.
A 60-point outing on 50 shots. The most shots taken in a game in 30 years. The Lakers were down late. Kobe takes control, personally outscoring the Utah Jazz 23-21 in the fourth quarter to secure the comeback win.
He set the record for most points in a final game and became the oldest player to score 60.
And his final words on the court captured it perfectly. Mamba out. A defiant, triumphant exit that summed up his entire career.
So if we look purely at his approach to the game, it's clear he didn't invent his style out of thin air. He was a master student, meticulously modeling his technique after his heroes.
Oh, he overtly modeled his game after Michael Jordan, studying every angle of that iconic fall-away jump shot. But he wasn't just copying, he was assimilating and adapting tools from everywhere.
Sports Illustrated highlighted his signature jab, step, and pause move.
Right, a micro-movement specifically designed to make the defender relax for a split second before he exploded past them.
And his dedication went far beyond the perimeter. He famously sought out specific, expert tutoring to keep his skill set well-rounded.
Yes, and this is a critical insight into the Mamba mentality. Even as an elite all-star, he took individual coaching sessions from Hakeem Olajuwon to learn post moves.
The dream shake.
The footwork, the drop steps, the up and unders. It showed that even late in his prime, he was relentlessly trying to evolve. The drive for continuous improvement was non-negotiable.
And this intense dedication translated directly to his identity as a competitor, cementing his legacy as a premier closer. He just thrived on pressure.
And general managers across the league validated this. In annual surveys, GMs selected him for 10 consecutive seasons as the player they wanted taking the clutch shot. He actively reveled in that pressure, in being the villain who silenced hostile crowds.
But we have to look impartially at the flip side of that. The consistent, long-standing criticism of his shot selection, his reputation as a high-volume shooter who sometimes shot his team out of games.
And the hard data supports that criticism. When he retired, He had missed more field goal attempts than any other player in NBA history. Phil Jackson often said he tends to force the action, suggesting a devotion to aggression over efficiency.
So this is the philosophical crux. The criticism is based on efficiency, but his mindset rejected reluctance entirely.
And Kobe provided the explicit, almost brutal answer himself. This is the true core of the mentality. I would go 0 for 30 before I would go 0 for 9. 0 for 9 means you beat yourself, you psyched yourself out of the game.
Wow.
His philosophy viewed hesitation or self-doubt as a failure worse than missing 20 shots. It's a mentality built on volume and confidence, not caution.
So let's synthesize that term. The Mamba mentality. It's the work ethic, the high pain threshold, that singular focus.
Yeah.
How did that ethos impact his leadership style, especially comparing the young star to the veteran?
Early in his career, he was widely seen as a difficult, demanding superstar, often summarized by the mantra, "Give me the damn ball." He held his teammates to impossible standards, which created friction.
But Phil Jackson noted a significant change later on.
A profound change. Later in his career, Kobe recognized the need for connection. He began to embrace the team and his teammates. Jackson felt the difference was that the players became his partners, not his personal spear carriers. The Mamba mentality evolved from individual dominance to dedicated mentorship. What's truly fascinating about Kobe's story is that his drive didn't end with that final 60-point game. He immediately shifted that immense focus into completely different fields, achieving a level of success off the court most athletes can only dream of.
The major aha moment for the wider public was his immediate success in media and film, starting with his poetic retirement announcement, "Dear Basketball."
That poem was adapted into an animated short film, and in 2018, Kobe Bryant won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film.
It's just an incredible achievement.
It cemented a unique historical double. First African-American and first former professional athlete to win an Oscar in any category. He added a cinematic trophy to his Olympic gold medals. An instant, high-level success in an entirely new field.
But even that success was later met with friction from the institution itself.
Yes. Despite the Oscar win, he was later denied membership into the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences. The report suggests this was due to his past legal case and the Academy's new, stricter standards of conduct implemented during the Me Too movement.
It shows that the controversial elements of his past continue to follow him.
They did?
And what other projects did he launch to support his post-basketball ambitions? He didn't just win an Oscar and walk away.
No. He established Granity Studios, a production company for storytelling across films, TV, and youth novels, aiming to teach life lessons through sport and fantasy. He created and hosted the analysis series Detail for ESPN.
Which is brilliant, a perfect distillation of the Mamba mentality applied to analysis.
Exactly. He also authored several young adult novels and was reportedly working on a children's book with Paulo Coelho before his death. He really became a Renaissance man in media.
And his business acumen was equally impressive. He retired with unprecedented financial stats for a team sport athlete.
According to Forbes, his $680 million in career earnings was, at the time, the most ever by a team athlete during their playing career. But his true business success came from a foundational, strategic investment.
The body armor investment. This shows his eye for long-term growth.
In 2014, he acquired a 10% stake in the Body Armor Super Drink Company for $6 million. He was a hands-on partner, creatively involved, applying his competitive intensity to growing the brand.
And that investment proved to be monumental.
When Coca-Cola purchased a stake in Body Armor, the valuation of his initial investment rose dramatically, eventually netting his estate approximately $200 million. A huge return, proving that commitment, analysis, and strategic positioning worked just as well on the balance sheet as on the court.
He also co-founded the venture capital firm Bryant. He was truly focused on establishing a second career of excellence.
And beyond his public image and financial success, the sources also offer important details about his personal life and his deep commitment to philanthropy.
We find that his Catholic faith was a significant influence.
Bryant was a practicing Catholic and openly credited his faith, specifically a priest, with helping him navigate the difficult times following his sexual assault accusation. It provided a foundation.
And there's that small yet profoundly moving detail that he and his daughter Gianna had gone to church just hours before the helicopter crash.
A powerful detail.
Yeah.
And his philanthropic reach was extensive. He was the ambassador for After School All-Stars, established the Kobe Bryant China Fund, and the Kobe and Vanessa Bryant Family Foundation, which focused on youth and assisting the homeless.
He felt strongly about that cause.
He did. And over his lifetime, he also granted over 200 requests for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. When you summarize his playing career, the depth of his statistical dominance and his sustained excellence is just remarkable. He retired as the fourth all-time leading scorer in league history.
And he didn't just score, he was a complete two-way force. He's one of only 4 players ever with at least 25,000 points, 6,000 rebounds, and 6,000 assists. That versatility speaks to his commitment to the entire game.
And his sustained elite performance is reflected in his honors. 18-time All-Star, selected as a starter a record 18 straight times, 15 times on the All-NBA team, and 9 times on the All-Defensive First Team, which ties him with Jordan, Garnett, and Peyton for the most ever.
That intersection of offensive mastery and defensive commitment is why he's considered one of the most complete players of his generation. And of course, there's that unique ultimate Laker tribute.
He is the only player in NBA history to have 2 numbers 8 and 24 retired by the same franchise.
A visual symbol of the 2 distinct legendary halves of his career. Number 8, the youthful, high-flying three-peat champion. Number 24, the methodical MVP, 2-time finals MVP leader.
It's perfect.
We have to address the tragic accident that prematurely ended this extraordinary life in his burgeoning second career.
On January 26, 2020, at 41 years old, Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others died in a helicopter crash in Calabasas. The NTSB investigation later determined the probable cause was pilot disorientation in thick clouds.
And the global reaction was just swift and overwhelming.
The NBA immediately postponed the Lakers-Clippers game. Teams across the league honored him with intentional 24-second shot clock violations or 8-second backcourt violations.
And the NBA renamed the All-Star Game MVP award in his honor,
permanently linking the award for individual excellence to his name.
The emotional connection was immediately evident throughout the 2020 NBA playoff run that followed.
The Lakers wore the black Mamba jerseys, which Kobe himself had designed, throughout the playoffs. Those jerseys became a powerful symbol. The championship victory that year was widely dedicated by the team to his legacy and his daughter.
And his posthumous honors continue to roll in, formally solidifying his place in history.
He was posthumously inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2021, named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team. And most recently, the Lakers unveiled a permanent statue outside Crypto.com arena honoring both Kobe and Gianna.
And there's a specific final detail about that statue that connects us directly back to his scoring legacy.
Yes. The inspiration for the statue, which depicts him pointing a finger toward the sky, is based on an image captured right after his 81-point game. This specific pose was reportedly requested by Bryant himself before his death.
It's a powerful choice, cementing his legacy with a moment of individual genius, yet with his attention pointed upward beyond the achievement itself. #outro. So what does this monumental deep dive into the Mamba legacy really reveal? We've seen the duality, the ruthless competitive fire that led to 5 titles, unprecedented scoring, and profound self-sacrifice, alongside the controversies and the evolution of his leadership. Yet he achieved a cultural significance outside of basketball that few athletes ever reach, winning an Oscar, becoming a force in business. He lived a life, though tragically short, defined by an almost maniacal global pursuit of perfection.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Bryant proved unequivocally that the Mamba mentality, that singular focus, that relentless work ethic, was profoundly transferable. He didn't just retire and fade away. He instantly applied those same principles to achieve excellence in media, film, and shrewd business ventures. He shifted his intensity, not his core drive.
So this raises an important question for you, the listener. What facet of your own life, professional or personal, could benefit most from applying that level of focused, intense commitment? Is there a challenge you've been approaching tentatively that demands an I would go 0 for 30 before 0 for 9 level of aggression and resilience?
Where are you playing it too safe?
And finally, let's return to that final visual. The significance of Kobe's request to have his statue based on his 81-point game captured mid-pose, pointing toward the sky. That moment, the highest peak individual achievement in modern game, points not toward the basket, but up. What message does that lasting visual legacy pointing past the personal achievement toward something greater send to future generations of athletes, artists, and everyone who witnesses it? It's a reminder that singular focus can lead to universal impact.